let's get into our key takeaways here,
Okay.
because I mean, we want people to understand exactly, again, why we're talking about this today.
Yeah.
And the very first thing that we want to talk about, excuse me, is that we want to lead with the why.
Yes.
So when we train people on cybersecurity, when we train people in maintaining their own personal security at that point in time, I mean, not just business but at home too.
Right.
We want them to understand exactly why it's important, and the way that we go about that by giving them concrete examples of how things can go wrong. If someone is worried about clicking on a phishing email, explaining to them like what happens if they click on that phishing email.
Sure.
That all matters when we talk about it. The next thing we want to do is basically turn this into a narrative. Excuse me. You mentioned before that if we just throw out stats or the latest report with bar graphs and things like that, yeah, it's cool, but people don't necessarily resonate with that. So if we can give them a narrative, if we can tell them again a story about something that happened to obviously someone else, but something that relates to them, that can go a long way in terms of establishing why they should pay attention to this in the first place. Yeah. So the next one we want to talk about is the so what test. So I want to throw that one over to you. So what do we mean by like so what?
As you're communicating, or even as you're developing your presentations, as you're planning something, ask yourself at each point, what should the audience be getting out of this? What are what's the with them? What's in it for me?
When I look at it, like so what?
So what?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if you take a moment and really try to plan for that, and try to build in the messaging for that, it gives the audience the opportunity to weigh the value of what you're sharing with them.
Sure.
And hopefully it falls on the side of something really good for you.
Ideally, yes.
Ideally, yes.
The next thing we want to talk about is like how you approach the actual stories behind it. So I have been told by multiple different organizations when I come in to teach like a board of directors training or something like that. The main narrative that I'll be given ahead of time is like scare the hell out of them.
Oh.
And like, don't get me wrong, I can. Like we can do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's necessarily effective. Right. I think that the better way to go about that is like, yes, we do need to illustrate like the negative things that can happen with a lapse in cybersecurity. There is an element of fear there, and that needs to be addressed. But for the most part, we really need to focus on this more as an educational narrative. Like, it's not just that everything's all bad. Like, we're not doom and gloom all the time.
Right.
Like, we will give you the tips to protect yourself. We will teach you how to identify things like a phishing email, as an example. And if we don't do that correctly, then we end up just basically being it kind of turns into a horror movie at that point, which is not what that's not what we want.
FUD doesn't sell.
No, exactly. Yeah.
But it never sells.
I mean, it does on X when you're buying cryptocurrency, but like
That's true.
That's about the only one.
That's a good
But yeah. The next part, though, and we talked about this a little bit. I mean, mixed communication methods, and I want to throw this one over to you because, like, I've opined on this for countless hours at this point. But when we're talking to like a mixed group, if you have the CISO and the CEO and the security team and human resources all in the same room, I mean, how do you like? Why is it important that we narrate to the group at that point?
Well, you want a group understanding, obviously,
Right.
because it is a group. Again, it's a shared responsibility. It's back to that group effort thing. If you know your audience well enough, and you have the CISOs, and you have the tech, and you have HR, you can start technically with what CISO is like. Bottom line up front, this is about XXX.
Right. Yeah.
And
This is money that
this
we're
is
talking
money,
about. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you can segue into the specifics of the rest of the audience. Now, that really make sure you understand who you're speaking to in the group.
Sure.
But you can divide it up and ensure that there are transitions between each that help people say, okay, maybe not consciously, but, oh, I understand this section. I understand this section.
Right.
This section's for me.
No, I had feedback from a tabletop I did recently where one of the people that was there said like all of the individual departments were focused on at one point or another, but we were able to kind of narrate the connection between them.
That's awesome.
And they felt like that was a great addition to
That's
the
awesome.
exercise, which was incredible. And I think it was really helpful, like that we were able to stitch them all together and let them know that like this is not a just a SecOps problem or just a CISO problem.
Right.
This is everyone's responsibility.
Right.
And I mean, it's not necessarily difficult for us to defend against cyber attacks or something like that. It just involves the the participation from basically everyone that you're around and understanding why that we need to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about here, and this is our final takeaway, I know we're hitting the end of our limit here, but thanks for sticking around, guys. But we need to remember that communication by itself in your organization is a security control.
Yeah.
Whether it is cybersecurity training, whether it is general employment training, whether it is anything else, being able to effectively communicate to your staff, your coworkers, your group at that point
Absolutely.
becomes a huge element of just maintaining a safe environment. And it's
Absolutely.
because if you can't communicate effectively, then people either don't pay attention, don't understand, or will make mistakes based on the fact that you just couldn't get that information out to them. And when I say you, don't get me. I'm not pointing out like a single person here or anything like that. This is not like the Equifax hack where they blamed the entire thing on one guy who forgot to
Right.
patch a system or something like that.
Right.
This is an organizational thing. We want to make sure that those soft skills,
Yep.
the ability to effectively communicate back and forth, are available to everyone, and it makes sense from both a business, a fiscal, and a security perspective to invest in the time to maintain that kind of communication. And I'll leave it to you for thoughts you have on this. But
I had a boss and she was fantastic, and she never said soft skills. She called them power skills,
Sure.
which is exactly what they are.
Mhm.
And I would encourage people that have challenges with communication across your organization. Take some time to learn about organizational change management, like ProSize AdCar. Not that I work for them, no plug, but I like their methodology, the AdCar methodology.
nice name drop there, but
But because a lot of times when security initiatives are put out there, they're just put out there, and there's no real explanation of the why.
sure, yeah,
So we're
exactly.
getting back to the why.
Yeah, back to the why.
So if you can create the awareness of something coming, the desire, you can give them the ability to understand it, the knowledge about it, and reinforce that message. It really becomes a powerful way to communicate across your organization, particularly with cybersecurity.
Oh, God, great explanation. Thank you so much, Todd.
Thank you so much, everyone. Again, my name is Matt Duran. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at any time. We would love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.